What's up, guys? This is Alex from Star Wars Explained, and I am crazy excited to partner with SYFY WIRE to bring you this video. As you likely know, there are countless stories set in the Star Wars universe beyond just what we've seen in the films. Books, comics, video games, and more. If you've ever wanted to get into that universe outside of the films, this video is for you. So these are my top 10 essential non-film Star Wars stories. I'm taking stories from both canon and Legends, and if you're not sure what that means, Legends is any Star Wars story that was written before 2014, when Star Wars was bought by Disney. But just because it's not official doesn't mean that it's not worth your time. Kicking off this list at number 10 is the Jedi Knight series. The stories follow the character Kyle Katarn, who's basically what Han Solo would be like if he were a Jedi. The stories are really great, and they've got some of the best lightsaber combat in gaming. BLOODLINE by Claudia Gray is a canon book that takes place about 6 years before the events of The Force Awakens. We get to see the New Republic Senate in action, which is more exciting than it sounds, and we get some hints at what Ben Solo was up to before he became Kylo Ren. The canon TV show Star Wars Rebels has been a little inconsistent in its quality, but when it's good, it's great. It ties up some loose ends from the Clone Wars, and it's a great bridge between the prequel and original trilogies. Speaking of Rebels, Season 3 introduced a fan-favorite Star Wars Legends character into the canon. Grand Admiral THRAWN first appeared in the THRAWN trilogy by Timothy Zahn back in the 90s, revitalizing Star Wars when new content was incredibly rare. For many fans, including myself, it's considered a must-read. Around that same time, Michael Stackpole began writing the X-Wing books. Now, I'm trying to put my own personal preferences aside for this list, but these are my actual favorite Star Wars books. I wouldn't say that they're essential to knowing everything about the Star Wars universe, but they follow a group of normal, non-Force sensitive soldiers, and I'm a sucker for those types of stories. So if you're like me, all 10 books are worth your time. Marvel's Darth Vader is a new comic that answers a lot of questions about the Sith Lord. It tells the story of Vader's rise to power after the Empire's defeat at the Battle of Yavin, and it's awesome. It's one of the darkest pieces of storytelling since the new canon took over, and rightfully so. It's just story after story of Vader being the awesome villain that we all knew he could be. Next up is The Clone Wars, which excels at enhancing the characters from and stories told by the prequels. When viewed just within the context of the films, Anakin's fall from Jedi Knight to Sith Apprentice can seem a little sudden. Well, The Clone Wars provides a lot of context and shows you his internal struggles, providing a much more sympathetic fall to the dark side, and you get to see the reasons that Anakin leaves the Jedi Order. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the Darth Bane trilogy will teach you everything you ever need to know about the Sith. Although they are legends, they're some of the best writing in Star Wars, and Darth Bane is one of the most fascinating characters. The stories take place about 1,000 years before the events of The Phantom Menace, and they're all about how the Rule of Two came to be. Darth Plagueis by James Luceno could be considered somewhat of a sequel to the Darth Bane trilogy. Plagueis and his apprentice Darth Sidious represent the culmination of Bane's work. But more importantly, this book takes some of the more baffling aspects of episodes 1 and 2, and it makes sense of all of them.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Midichlorians, Anakin's virgin birth, the surprise appearance of a clone army, they all make sense thanks to this book. Again, it's technically Legends, but I would say it's right on the cusp of being canon, because James Luceno, the same author, referenced it multiple times in his canon book, Tarkin. So personally, I'm just going to operate under the assumption that Plagueis, the book, is canon until it's just directly and blatantly contradicted. Okay, this is it. Coming in at the number 1 spot is another book by Claudia Gray, Lost Stars. It tells the story of two childhood friends named Thane and Sienna, and we get to see the entirety of the Galactic Civil War from before it begins to its end at the Battle of Jakku from the point of view of two completely normal soldiers. When it's at its best, the two main characters take behind-the-scenes roles in scenes from the films. They witness the aftermath of the Battle of Yavin. They're present at the Battle of Hoth. They question Imperial leadership when they chase the Millennium Falcon into an asteroid field. And on top of all that, it provides a convincing argument for why any sane person would follow an empire that destroys an entire planet. This book just wouldn't work if the two main characters were boring, but they are seriously some of the most well-written and dynamic characters in Star Wars. And I mean canon or legends. All of it. I love this book, and if you need just one to help you get into the universe of Star Wars outside of the films, this is the one to do it. And that brings this list to a close. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are mad that I didn't include things like Knights of the Old Republic, so I would love to see your top 10 list in the comments. And again, I need to say a huge thank you to SYFY WIRE for helping me out with this video. It's been an absolute honor working with them.